Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC 282, and on the pay-per-view main card, we have a very interesting middleweight matchup, Darren Till versus Dricus Du Plessis, and this is going to be my full breakdown and prediction for this fight, and I'm doing a bunch of UFC 282 prediction videos, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of those. So Darren Till versus Dricus Du Plessis is a very important middleweight fight for both guys because Darren Till's on a losing streak, and he's also pulled out of a lot of fights with injuries, and to be honest, I'm surprised he's making it to this fight. My early prediction for this fight was Darren Till pulls out due to undisclosed injuries. That's what I thought was going to happen in the lead up to this fight. We're a couple days away. It's looking like this fight's actually going to happen, and this is very important for Darren Till's career. If he goes on a 3-fight losing streak, and the fact his last win was all the way back in 2019, he hasn't won in many years. That's insanity. And now he's getting this up-and-coming guy in Dricus Du Plessis, who's ranked in the top 15, but still hasn't proven a whole lot. If he goes out there and let's say he gets finished by Dricus, it's the end of Darren Till. But on the other side of that, Darren Till has the best name value in the middleweight division outside of Israel Adesanya. And I know the middleweight division is kind of in a weird situation because we're probably going to see Adesanya versus Pereira too. But it would not shock me if Darren Till was to win this fight against Du Plessis and win it very dominantly and put on an impressive performance. It would not shock me if Darren Till is fighting for a middleweight title in his very next fight. Okay, bare minimum, one more fight after this. And, you know, I get it. We're going to see Adesanya Pereira too. And if Pereira wins again, then all the people who fought Adesanya for a middleweight title and lost now are a fresh matchup for Alex Pereira. So there is that kind of stipulation behind it. But Darren Till, just being the name he is, and the UFC's kind of set him up multiple times, basically kind of implying if he wins this fight, he's going to get a title shot. And he's just never been able to capitalize, and he's always getting injured and just not fighting. And he's been inactive for a while, hasn't fought since Derek Brunson, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's a very important fight for him. And for Dricus Du Plessis, if he wins this fight, this is the biggest name on his resume. And he's going to propel himself into the top 10 of the middleweight division, where, again, there's not a lot of people kind of standing out from the pack. You have Adesanya, you have Pereira, and you have Whitaker. Outside of that, everyone else is kind of grouped together. And if he can go out there and let's say he was to brutally finish Darren Till, he's probably 1 or 2 fights away from a potential middleweight title shot as well. So both guys, very important fight. And for Du Plessis, if he loses this fight, people are going to say, oh, well, he got his first ranked opponent, or maybe Brad Tavares might have been ranked, but you get my point. He got to step up in competition in Darren Till, and now he's lost. Basically, you know, he's going to be a gatekeeper for the top 15. So if you look at the tail of the tape, Darren Till is 18-4-1. Du Plessis is 17-2. Till is ranked number 9. Du Plessis is ranked number 13 in the UFC official rankings. Till is 29. Du Plessis is 28. Till is 6 foot. Du Plessis is 6'1". Till has a 75-inch reach, and Du Plessis has a 76-inch reach. So a slight height and reach advantage for Du Plessis. So if you look at Du Plessis, 17 pro MMA wins, 7 by knockout, 9 by submission, and 1 by decision. So he primarily wins by submission. He comes into this fight on a 5-fight winning streak. His last fight was against Brad Tavares at UFC 276. This was a competitive fight. The first round, Brad Tavares won. He was able to fend off the takedowns. He landed some big shots. He even rocked Du Plessis at one point in this fight. The second round was very competitive, but Du Plessis hurt him in the last minute a couple times, so he won the round. And then the third round, Brad Tavares was just battered. He was slowing down. Du Plessis was throwing a lot of combinations and just ended up winning 29-28. The fight before that was against Trevin Giles. He won this fight via KO in the second round. The first round, there was some scrambles. Du Plessis was looking to initiate the grappling in this fight. Had some submission attempts in the first round, unsuccessful. Trevin Giles scrambling back to his feet. Second round, Giles is actually kind of landed some good combinations on Du Plessis, but then Du Plessis lands a nasty right hand, drops Giles, and then finishes him off with ground and pound. His UFC debut was in October of 2020 against Marcus Perez, and in this fight, he got a first round KO. This was a competitive fight, both guys landing shots, but Du Plessis lands a nasty shot, drops Marcus Perez, and then finishes him off with ground and pound. But after the shot, I think it was a left hand or a left hook on the feet. After it dropped him, it was basically over at that point. It put him to sleep. It hit him right behind the ear, and then he followed up with some ground and pound shots and finished him off. And that's all 3 of his fights in his UFC career. Doesn't have the most impressive resume, but he's kind of just starting out. He's only been in the UFC for a little over 2 years. So, of course, he's not fighting the biggest names. But Brad Tavares is what I consider to be a gatekeeper of the top 15 of the middleweight division. And he looked pretty impressive in that fight. There appeared to be some holes in his game, which we're going to talk about a little bit later when I break down the fight. But an impressive win nonetheless. And he lost the first round. He knew he lost the first round, and he came out and, also in the first round, his original game plan wasn't working, and he switched it up, wins the second and third, and wins the fight. So if you look at Darren Till, he comes into this fight, he has 18 pro MMA wins, 10 by knockout, 2 by submission, and 6 by decision. His 4 losses, 1 by knockout, 2 by submission, and 1 by decision. And he comes into this fight on a 2-fight losing streak. His last fight was against Derek Brunson all the way back in September of 2021. And basically the story of this fight was he got out-grappled. The first 2 minutes of this fight, he looked very good on the feet. He was piecing up Derek Brunson. And even in the third round, when he got finished, he hurt Derek Brunson badly right before he got finished. But then Derek Brunson kind of shot a desperation takedown. Darren Till, instead of attempting to sprawl, he kind of looked like a half-hearted guillotine attempt. Then he ended up with his back against the cage, gets double-legged, tries to scramble back to his feet, and instead Derek Brunson ends up in the full mount, rains down some nasty ground and pound, and then Darren Till gives up his back and gives up the rear naked choke. It came out after this fight that apparently Darren Till was injured going in, and Darren Till just has an extensive injury history. In his last few fights, he pulled out against Jack Hermanson in December of 2020. He pulled out against Marvin Vettori in April of 2021. He pulled out against Derek Brunson in August of 2021, but I can't remember. That might have just been rescheduled. I can't remember if it was rescheduled. Yeah, I think it was rescheduled. It wasn't an actual injury for the Derek Brunson reschedule. But then he had another fight scheduled in 2022, July of this year, against Jack Hermanson again, and had to pull out with another injury. So Darren Till has just been perpetually injured. The fight before that, he fought Robert Whittaker all the way back in July of 2020. This was a competitive fight, but Robert Whittaker clearly won. It was primarily striking. Both guys looked pretty good, but Robert Whittaker was just better in this fight, landed the better shots. Fight before that, and his last win was against Kelvin Gastelum at UFC 244. I was actually there live at Madison Square Garden. This was a very close fight. Could have went either way. Darren Till wins. The fight before that was when he got KO'd by Jorge Masvidal. And this was his last fight at welterweight. This was just a fight where he got clipped. He was looking good. He had even dropped Jorge Masvidal in this fight, but he gets KO'd. His fight before that was a welterweight title shot against Tyron Woodley. Got dropped in this fight and got choked out. And a lot of people were picking Darren Till in this fight. And, he went out there, wasn't a super impressive performance. He gets finished by Woodley in the second round and just showed really no ground game. And I know he was hurt, but he gets choked out by Tyron Woodley. And you look at the rest of Darren Till's resume, because he's been here for a long time. He's been in the UFC since 2015. I've said for a long time, Darren Till has one of the worst resumes in MMA. His best win is against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson back in May of 2017 or May of 2018. And the majority of people thought that he lost this fight. I personally thought it was a robbery. Wonderboy Thompson clearly won. It is what it is. But, that's his best win. Outside of that Wonderboy Thompson win, okay, Kelvin Gastelum, he won via split decision. Not super impressive either. And then outside of that, the most impressive performance he ever had was against Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He finished Donald Cowboy Cerrone. What does that really mean? That means absolutely nothing. So a terrible resume by Darren Till. And I always say, you can't elevate a guy off a loss, but really Darren Till's standout performance is his decision loss to Robert Whittaker. So that's the most impressive thing on Darren Till's resume. And when I look at this fight, I believe that this fight comes down to, can Dricus Du Plessis get the takedown? Because I believe that Darren Till is the far superior striker. I don't even really believe that's up for debate. That's not even an opinion. Darren Till is a far better striker than Dricus Du Plessis. Du Plessis is going to come in and look for the takedown. And is he going to be successful? Now, Darren Till in his last fight against Derek Brunson showed okay takedown defense early, but then it just looked like garbage. He was exhausted by the end of the first round, really. Supposedly came in with an injury. And I wonder, could he potentially be coming into this fight with an injury? Is the pressure adding up because he's now pulled out of so many fights via injury, he doesn't want to pull out anymore, and he's just going to go through with this fight with another injury, he needs a paycheck. But also I wonder, is Darren Till so, aware of where his career is at that he's like, I'm not fighting if I have an injury anymore because it went south in the Derek Brunson fight. I'm not going to fight anymore if I'm injured. So maybe he's coming into this fight 100% healthy. But I think Dricus is going to come in and try to take him down. Is he going to be successful? I think he may have some success against Darren Till. But if Dricus Du Plessis is not successful in taking Darren Till down, it is going to be a very rough night for Du Plessis. And my official prediction for this fight, and this is my last chance for this guy, I am going with Darren Till late first round KO. It's hard for me to pick him. The long layoff, the fact he looked like garbage in his last fight, the extensive injury history, but Dricus Du Plessis striking is just god-awful. And he gets away with it a lot because he throws a lot of combinations in those weird reset moments where both fighters are kind of resetting. It's that lull in the action. And Dricus is just rushing forward, flat-footed, squaring off his stance, throwing haymakers. And I think he'll do a little bit of that in this fight. In the Brad Tavares fight, when he wasn't able to get the takedown in the first round and he wasn't having a lot of success with the wrestling, he just started throwing wild combinations. And I think Darren Till has such technical striking. He has good power. I think Darren's coming into this fight very motivated. I think he's going to be 100% healthy. And I think, maybe Dricus Du Plessis can catch him with a big shot and KO Darren Till. That wouldn't necessarily shock me. And it also wouldn't shock me if Dricus Du Plessis was to finish him on the ground, be able to get him down and just ground and pound and finish him. So this is a fight that really can go either way. And I can really see both guys winning a million different ways. If I was going to pick Du Plessis, I'd probably pick him via submission. I think he would get Darren Till down, beat him up on the ground, and then eventually find a submission similar to what Derek Brunson did. But I don't think Du Plessis' takedowns are that good. Even in the first fight, Darren Till was able, or the fight against Derek Brunson, who I think Derek Brunson is a far better wrestler than Du Plessis. He was able to find his way back to his feet in the first round. And then, a couple other times, I know he was subsequently taken down again. But, we're talking about Derek Brunson who out-wrestled Yoel Romero. Derek Brunson is a very good wrestler. I don't think Du Plessis is on the level of Derek Brunson. That coupled with the fact I think Darren Till's coming into this fight healthy, knowing his UFC career is kind of on the line here, I think he's going to be more motivated than ever. I think he's going to use that wide stance, use that footwork. He's not going to rush in on Du Plessis. He's a counter striker. And Du Plessis, when he's not successful with the takedowns, he's going to start getting a little bit crazy on the feet, throwing wild haymakers. That's why I thought about going with a second round TKO. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go Darren Till second round TKO, early second round rather than late first round. I just think Dricus, as he starts to, realize the takedowns aren't working, I think he's going to look to get super aggressive and look to land a KO shot on Darren Till. And I think Darren Till is going to slide out of the way. I think he's going to pump that right-hand jab, and then I think he's going to hit him with a left straight, and I think he's going to brutally KO Du Plessis and win in the first minute of the second round. I just think it comes down to, can Dricus get the takedown? And I do not believe he will be successful with the takedown. And I think Darren Till is a far superior striker. I'm not super confident in this prediction. I would say I'm 65, ish, 65-35 that Darren Till wins. But I just think Darren Till's power, his technical ability, his footwork, and if he's healthy, I think he can defend the takedowns of Du Plessis, and I think on the feet, there's levels to this game, and I think Darren Till is much better on the feet. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Who are you picking? Are you picking Du Plessis? Are you picking Darren Till? Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.